Drake was
There
the
is a
first
huge difference
AI
between
rapper.
being influenced by something and swagger jacking and biting something. One of my biggest critiques towards Drake is that he is a swagger jacker. He is a biter.
True.
They often say imitation is the highest form of flattery, but in hip-hop, that is a no-no. You must come up with your own unique style and perspective. Otherwise, you're just Milli Vanilli. Drake has been masterful at this for years. This conversation in this video came to me when I was having a debate with a person about Drake's influence. I was speaking on Drake's thievery. I was speaking on how Drake steals and swagger jacks people. Other people were talking about the influence. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that Drake was influenced by Kanye, Andre 3000, Fontaine, Slum
1000%.
Village, Little Brother.
What up, Lil Bruh? What up, Slumville? Dedicate this to Kanye West, to Andre 3000, and to Fontaine of Little Brother.
That was extremely popular at the time. But what Drake failed to mention until years later is that he was trying to rap like Joe Budden.
You didn't just catch me out here, too. I came to support Joe. Really, just for the record of anybody watching.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah, I came to support Joe.
Thank you very much.
See, people think Joe Budden is some podcaster or a one-hit wonder. Joe Budden is a way better artist than we in the mainstream give him credit for. He had a series called Mood Music that was extremely popular back then on the MySpaces, on the early blog era. And if you listen to that music and to that series, you know where Drake got his whole thing from.
Like Mr. Softy, they in the hood getting treated like Mr. Softy. Yeah. Slap the 4/5. If you believe that, then you believe Rick James got a natural cause.
First string girl handle a lot. Cause up north is a scandalous spot. They think I'm pretty and rich, but pick one, I'm on a Canada block. And some sweatpants, sandals, and socks, cause I could do that.
The toxic way
I
of
could
viewing
do
women
that.
in relationships,
God
the emotional,
damn,
introspective, woe is me raps,
Oh, man.
sad boy raps. He got all of that from Joe Budden. When I first heard Drake, I instantly heard Joe Budden. Now, of course, hip hop in its core is a
Really?
genre that builds itself upon other genres. So you always gonna hear some type of influence. You're always gonna hear something else when you listen to certain artists, especially depending on what they're listening to at that time. But there is a difference between influence and swagger jacking. Whenever Drake is trying to achieve a sound and he's trying to move in a different direction artistically, he literally takes a smaller artist and studies them and copies them and then give it out. Best example of that is XXXTentacion and Quentin Miller. Quentin Miller wasn't just some ghostwriter.
I was really excited. I thought I was gonna have a Drake feature because at the time Drake was just doing random features.
Quentin Miller is actually dropping music right now. Just before this video, I watched a song that he dropped, produced by Hit Boy. Definitely check him out, man. Super talented artist, super really good writer. You know what I mean? I think yeah, man, more people should give Quentin Miller a chance because he's pretty dope, man.
For just up and coming artists, you know, so I thought I was about to be one of those lucky artists.
Quentin Miller was working on music and was trying to be an artist himself. Drake made him into a ghostwriter, even though he was accredited, and basically took his words verbatim and laid them down.
You end up basically co-writing what became Used To, 10 Bands, Legend, and 6 Man.
Yeah.
And no, Drake did not put his arm around him like he did The Weeknd and say, this is the guy I'm working with, we're making music. No, he wanted to keep it under wraps as best as possible. It was not a collaboration the way Drake and his team likes to make it seem. Quentin Miller, he thought when he got the call from OVO that they were going to be working on music together.
Drake literally was looking me in my face like, yo, man, this album wouldn't be possible if it weren't for you. Like,
I would say, if you're reading this, it's too late, is my favorite Drake project, period. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you.
So I was editing this
Same.
video and I realized I had to give y'all a crazy hot take for y'all to argue about in the comment section. Drake's best album is If You're Reading This Is Too Late. If you
Facts.
listen to Drake, that is his best album. I don't want to have no debate with nobody. I might make a video on it one day. We'll know who sees. If You're Reading This Is Too Late is
Facts.
Drake's best album. Get back to the video. Peace. When Drake wanted to get into that UK grime scene, he studied and copied the XXX song Look At Me.
Demons just got out of can. I gave my bro an advance. Love is just not in my plan. Not even taking a chance.
When Look At Me was popping in the blogs and on SoundCloud, Drake used to upload a lot of songs to SoundCloud, so you know he was always watching. He was always paying attention to them little younger
Always,
artists that were
dude,
bubbling.
always.
No pun intended about messing with little younger artists. But that's what he would do when
That's
he
not
was
a pun, it's
falling in
probably
love with
true.
Georgia Smith, and he wanted to go into that more Afro beats type of vibe, that more how you say worldly music. He studied Wizkid. This is what Drake has been doing. When he wanted that Atlanta sound, he studied and copied word for word Quentin Miller. This is what Drake does.
What's really going on? Soldier boy up in this thing, I'm ready. What's happening?
I said, tell me what's really going on.
He copied my whole fucking flow. Word for word, bar for bar.
And he started that out years ago with Joe Budden. Drake would never mention Joe Budden. Remember, Drake is a master manipulator, and he's not who he portrays to be. Early on, he wanted to align himself with the backpack rappers, with the Kanyes, with the Slum Village, with the Little Brothers. So that's what it was in the public. But in the strip club and in the hookah club, he was with Joe Budden, and that's where he got his influence from, because Drake has always been the more Joseph Budden type of character. Now, if you know Joe Budden's life and his career, you know exactly why Drake and Joe Budden have had some of the same women.
Now, you asked me how Theory was feeling.
Yeah.
Drake is so Joe Budden when it comes to toxicity
I
in
hate
relationships
Drake.
with females.
I
Most
fucking
of
hate Drake,
Drake's
dude.
early rapping was mirrored after Joe Budden, even though, yes, he was influenced by what was popping at the time. But in the reality, he wanted to be more Joe Budden. He was more jaded than a Kanye, than a Little Brother, than an Andre 3000. Joe Budden is probably still jaded. You know, he's kind of chilled out now. He's a podcaster now. But Joe Budden was very much toxic when it comes to women. You can go listen to the Mood Music series. Drake is a swagger jacker. He will study somebody, get them close to him, get on a record with them, and then move forward. He's done this time after time. He did a whole mixtape with Future. And if you listen to that, that was really some of Drake's worst rapping. It was way more swag rapping, but it was some of his worst rapping.
Jumpin', them boys up to something. I think I need some Robitussin.
If you even look at Find Your Loving, Kanye West wrote it. Kanye West helped him produce it. You can hear that. Drake took that formula and kept going. You can also hear it when he worked with The Dream. You can hear it at every given moment. If you just open your ears and you open your eyes and you see that Drake is a Majin Buu type of person where he just watches something, he mimic it and go. Drake is a biter. And if you don't know what swagger jacking and influence is, you definitely on the wrong channel. Are you even hip hop? You don't know what swagger jacking is? Yo, Drake is known for this. People say Fontaine. Yeah, even he would. But everybody knew it was Joe Budden. That's why Joe Budden was on his helmet for years. And he didn't admit it to the Rap Radar podcast a few years ago.
So yeah, I mean, I used to rap like Budden back in the day.
Because Drake is a master manipulator. And the truth of Drake is that he's copied artist after artist after artist in order to get that success. I love McConan. I mean, I can keep naming stuff. Drum. I like to cha-cha. He studied that record and made Hotline Bling. Going Up on a Tuesday, he studied that record and made his verse. Fetty Wap, All I Gotta Do, he studied that, made his verse. Migos, this is what Drake does. He is the quintessential swagger jacker. And that's the reason why Joe Budden, if you look at his disses towards Drake, they were literally the blueprint for Kendrick Lamar. Joe Budden dropped 3 disses within a month, 2 within a week. Because he's been so big, he's been able to dodge these critiques and dodge these criticisms. And people always just want to give him credit. I don't know. It's something about the black culture that doesn't like to see somebody get picked on. Nobody ever wants to be on one side of an argument. It always feels like people just want to, man, Drake ain't that bad, man, he ain't that, man, y'all tripping. It's just hate Drake time. It's like, no, bro. If you really look at the critiques, and if you do this for real, I do this for real, you understand the biting and the swagger jacking. You know what I realize is a lot of people who like to just say talking points from other people and don't really have the knowledge and don't really have the facts and don't really understand the artist that is Drake, the manipulator, the swagger jacket that is Drake, his tactics of finding XXX on SoundCloud, finding these different certain artists and taking from them. The funny thing is, he's never been able to take from Kendrick. He's never been able to take from J. Cole.
Because he's too
said,
good.
I want to see AI copy this.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Even AI gotta practice cloning Kendrick, the double entendre.
Because you can't really
What the
copy
fuck?
Kendrick.
What was
And
that?
every time AI has come
What was
out
that?
about Kendrick with Kendrick's sound and his voice and all that, we've been able to tell. Drake is low-key that type of person. He is the AI. He is the type of person that wants to get around you, mimic you, and replicate you. He never said, yo, this is the dude that I've been making these slaps with. He never did that with Quentin. He wanted it to make it seem as though he came up with this music on his own. Drake is very masterful at that. Yes, he
That's really
credited him
fucked
because that's
up.
his fallback. Yo, I credited him. He's not a ghostwriter. But you never gave us what he did. And Drake is done that. He literally did it with Quit. He tried to do it with X. X was like, nah. He did it anyway. He just studied the record and came up with it anyway. Anytime Drake wanted to switch artistically and musically,
He's a dirty
all he
little
did
Canadian,
was
dude.
steal and swagger jack and bite from a certain artist for him to get to that level. And that's the difference between being influenced by something and swagger jacking it. Drake was definitely no doubt influenced by the backpack rappers of the early 2000s, right? Of the late and early 2000s. Definitely.
Yep.
But he
Little
swagger
Brother.
jacked Joe Budden at the time. And he never, ever mentioned it until years later. Drake is a swagger jacker, and that's the reason why a lot of people are upset with him, and that's the reason why I don't give him credit like that. Once you a cheater, when you want me to give you credit when you say to give you credit. Once it's been known that you have had help, you want me to give you credit when you want me to give you. No, I wrote this. Well, you should have never cheated in the first place. Once you muddy your name, once you put smut on your name, I don't have to look at you the same. I'm going to look at you for who you told me you was or who you didn't tell me you was, because I had to find out about it. So that's my biggest critique towards Drake. Hopefully you learned something. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I release a video. Donate to this Cash App link right here. Join this channel to become a member.
Yeah, shout outs to Read My Soul, man. A lot of good points, especially about Quentin Miller, man. And like I said in the beginning, Quentin Miller is dropping new music, like actively, like right now. And he's at like 30K subs, dude. And I definitely would like to see him like elevate, you know what I mean? Because he's a great writer, bro. And yeah, bro, I just think more people should give him a chance, bro. Check out Quentin Miller. I agree with Reed as far as if you're reading this, it's too late being Drake's best album. 100% agree with that, dude. Everything else isn't even that close. You know what I mean?